Hello and welcome to Throttle Therapy. Today I'm going to talk about my Can-Am Model X3 Turbo RR and pretty much any side-by-side for that matter, but today it's pretty much going to focus on the Can-Ams and some things that I do like and some things that I don't like. I've been a side-by-side owner now for going on 5 years, and there's a lot of things that I've found out on my own and a lot of things that I found out through trial and error that are things that you might need to know. So some good information. Hopefully you learned something if you watch my video. So yeah, let's get to it. First of all, let's talk about my side-by-side. I've stated in a couple of other videos that it is a Can-Am Maverick X3 Turbo RR. It's the 200 horse model. This thing is probably one of the fastest machines I've been on. I previously owned a Can-Am Turbo DS. It was fast, it was a good machine, but there was a lot of things that I learned on that one that will be of interest to some people. First thing is the bearings. All the wheel bearings, as soon as you get this thing broken, need to be greased. I have found out that when they build these, they put absolute minimum grease in that is humanly possible, and that's it. Just enough to get it out the door. This one took 10 pumps per wheel to get grease in there to be enough that it won't cause any overheating or any weirdness. I ran my finger on the inside of the bearings and I got very minimal grease out of it. So if you buy one, that's one of the very first things I would check after the break-in is how much grease is in your wheel bearings. To grease the wheel bearings, you're going to need a special tool. I got one offline. They look like this. They have a grease zerk fitting on it. Has an O-ring, and basically the grease comes out from here and it greases your bearings. If you're going to go down the road of self-maintenance, you absolutely need one of these. I think it was about $29.95, but for bearings, these things are tough on bearings because you're in and out of water all the time. You're constantly on and off the throttle. This is an absolute must. I'll leave a link down below to the place I got mine, so you can order one if you want. But yeah, an absolute must. I'll post a video for the bearings being greased, and I'll show you guys how to do that. Kind of a quick step-by-step, and I'll do some commentary over top of it. One of the other big issues with these is the front end and rear end grease. Once you get this thing broke in, you probably want to go find yourself a good synthetic front end and rear end gear lube and get it in both ends. When I did mine on my DS, the previous one, it had at best minimal amount of front end and rear end grease in it, gear lube. And I'll post a video on how to check those and what to look for when I do this one. This one's time isn't quite there yet, and I'll also do one on motor oil. So yeah, it's an absolute must that you check these things, because the worst thing you want to do is be out on the trail and have a front end or a rear end go out because it doesn't have enough grease in it. Another thing too, before you go buy one of these, is to do your research. The RR model is a 200 horse beast. This thing is extremely fast. This thing will do 0 to 90 in just seconds. It's very, very fast. It's sketchy at top speed. This thing has a 65-inch wheelbase, side to side roughly. I think 63 is more like it, but I have a bigger tire on mine, so it's 65. But when you get these things up to speed with a tire like this, 24 PSI inside of it, you go to find out that these things tend to float at a high speed, and they do become a little bit scary. So do your research before you buy one. The DS model, which is the one I had previous, was a good model. It was fast. It did about 70, 75, which was fast enough. This one hits the speed limiter at 90, and it gets there real quick. This might not be the model for somebody too. These X3s are kind of like the Corvette of side-by-sides. A friend of mine has a Commander. He loves his Commander. Another friend of mine has a CF Moto. They absolutely love it. Another friend has a RZR, absolutely loves it. And there's a Ranger in our group that they absolutely love. So it's a matter of what it is that you want to get out of it and what it is that you think is right for you and your family. Another good thing to consider when you're looking into these is the price and the fact that they come with barely anything on them. All the accessories are extra. Everything costs money. This one has a lot on it. I've added a lot. I added bumpers, I added lower doors, I added lights, windshield wiper, 32-inch tires and rims, rock sliders, windows for the sides, pack out, everything. I've added tons of stuff to this, and they come in at around $31,000 plus when you get everything on it and all the accessories that you need. This one is used for trail riding mostly. I do not do sand dunes, I do not rock crawl, I basically do trail riding. It's what my friends and I enjoy doing, and so it's set up for that. Some of the big negatives about these Can-Ams are they don't have a lot of higher end accessories. I guess that's a good way to put it. RZRs have ride command installed directly in the machine where this one doesn't. There's things like active suspension that you can adjust on the fly inside the cockpit of the side-by-side that this one doesn't have. The Maverick R model does. It's $50,000 roughly. They're not cheap, and then add accessories onto that. That is a 240 horse model. They're cool, they're fast, but there is a big problem with them. If you're a trail rider in northern Minnesota, or if you're a trail rider in one of the state parks, we've been to South Dakota and places like that, they don't allow anything wider than 65 inches. RRs are 65 or 65 with these tires. Maverick R models only come in 72 inch, so they will not be allowed in a lot of the side-by-side trails in Minnesota, South Dakota. We're going to Wyoming this spring and we'll find out, but I would venture to guess that it's the same there. A couple of things that I found wrong with these that I think Can-Am needs to get better on is the interior of these X3s. They're okay for the most part. If you go out somewhere that's cold without side windows and a heater, you're going to get cold. I had to have windows added to it. I have a heater in this that the guys at Ice Crusher Heaters put in, and they did a great job. But if you don't have it, you will freeze to death going somewhere that's cold. Yesterday it was 20 below here where I'm at, and I took it outside and did a little running around, and I would say it got into the 30s on the inside, but there's a lot of gaps on the inside, and you know, cold air is going to get in. A couple years ago we went up to South Dakota, and we were up in the mountains, high hills of South Dakota, and Black Hills, and when we were out there, it's hailed on us one day, it rained on us constantly, and the side windows would have been good, and that was with my old machine, and I did not have a heater. We found out in a quick hurry that even with the turbo sitting right between us here, it still got pretty cold in here. So this year we're going to go to Wyoming. We'll be up in the mountains, about 13,000 feet. We'll be in the Bighorns. I'll be taking video of all that and trying to get it out to everybody so you can see it. My intent in the future is to show basically where all the places we go and everything we see, and try to give you an idea of what they're like, and I'll rate them, and so you guys can all have a good idea of what all of the different trails are like in different areas. Another issue that you'll see inside the Can-Ams is the switches. There isn't enough room for switches, so you're having to kind of put everything together. As you can see on here, you have my winch, You have the active trail and the diff lock and the four-wheel drive. These are on the Maverick X3RR, and they don't come any other way. See, these are in there already. There's your modes for your center console up here. There's the override, which is already in here. And over here, there is the high beam, low beam, and off for the lights. So these two, which is my turn signals, my horn, and my emergency blinkers, those were added. The light bar for my nightlights were added, and the winch in and out was added. So those things were added. I have some extra lights on this thing, and I had to add them to this switch down here. Right there, I don't know if you can see that very well. Sorry about the light. But yeah, for the most part, you have to have those switches for everything, and they don't give you enough. They do make these in the center right here that you can cut out. I would personally not recommend cutting them out. I did it on my last machine, and I didn't do a very good job, and so the switches didn't stay in there very well. And I don't really know of a good way to do it unless you're a professional with some kind of a die grinder or something, or one of those Dremel tools. It's tough, and I kind of screwed it up a little bit, so my switches never sat down in there all the way all the time. And another problem is in these lower ones down here, if you get in water, the backs are going to corrode over time, so you need to put like a dielectric greaser on them or something to try to keep the water off of them, because they will corrode within a year of putting them in. So it's good information. Just thought everybody should know. As I said, the Can-Am is a little bit behind in the integrated features such as Ride Command that Polaris has. I put in, this is from Kemimoto. It's basically, you still have your USB ports back there, and I plug in an iPad to it, and I run Ride Command on there, and you just adjust it, close it up, iPad fits right here. It's the same thing, but Polaris is integrated, and it's a lot better. This is the Can-Am Dash. It's better than the DS. It does have a few more things in it. I was checking my voltage in there. You can go through things and set different engine temp is where I usually leave it, because these things do have a tendency to run a little bit warm in the summertime. So I'm always keeping an eye on it. And then the other thing too is the belt and engine temperature is a good mode, because your belt is a big deal. You can burn a belt up on one of these in no time at all. So yeah, it's good to have. But yeah, that's one of the biggest negatives, is they don't have anything for Ride Command or anything like that. When you buy these windshields, they're pretty good. They have a hand crank for your windshield wiper, which is pretty much all you need for the most part when you're going through the trails and stuff. You don't have to have them on here constantly. It is kind of nice to have an electric one. A friend of mine does have an electric one in his, and he does like it. But, you know, for the small amount of time that you're getting the windshields nasty, I put Rain-X all over it, and for the most part, it comes right off. It doesn't stick to the windshield at all, so you don't have a big problem. The biggest problem you'll have is fogging up if you have a windshield, and that's why I had some heaters installed, again from Ice Crusher Heaters. And they blow up, and they, for the most part, they'll clean off the windshield, get the fog off anyway. So yeah, well worth the money. I would recommend it. So yeah, so my intent for these videos is to basically be a little bit informative, show some things that are out on the trails that might happen, show the trails so everybody can get an idea of what's out there. I have been on quite a few trails over the years, and when I go to look them up on YouTube, Facebook, whatever, I don't see a lot of information about the trails. You usually see some guy taking a picture from on top of a mountain peak, or they'll show maybe 2 seconds of riding. My intent is to have more riding, kind of give you an idea of how dusty the trails are, how wet the trails are, how rocky they are, how muddy they are, how tight they are to get around corners. Just stuff so that when you go out, you have kind of an idea of what's out there, how it looks. and what to expect when you get onto those trails. I am from Minnesota, so a lot of the stuff will be Minnesota centric, but we go once a year, we go somewhere. This year we're going to the Wyoming Bighorns. Who knows where we'll go after that. Every year could be somewhere different. Wisconsin, Michigan, Montana, who knows. So yeah, the idea is to get out there, have some fun, and to give you some information along the way. So I just wanted to say thanks for watching. I hope I'm getting better at this. I hope I'm a little bit informative and I don't suck too bad. Just like anything else, I'm sure with time I will get better, and my editing will get better, and hopefully you get some good information. So thanks for watching. Have a great day, and see you soon.